1,000 degrees Fahrenheit. So you don't have any tars, furans, ash, any type of waste that is left over. You don't have to sort it. You have 1,000 metric tons capacity in each modular unit per day. The waste is reduced to a size of 30 degrees or less, 30 inches or less for efficient production. So you don't lower the temperature of the plasma plant. And the emissions are things like water vapor, and we control the moisture in the environment. This is showing you how we're bypassing all of the air quality standards by a very wide margin in most cases. And this is the purpose of showing you this, is to show you that the plant does not have stacked gases and is emitting. So the white box is the plasma plant. Here the EPA air quality standards are shown. Important part of this is that if you do not meet the air quality standards, there are large fines. If you do meet or exceed them, you get carbon credits, so therefore you have two benefits to this type of process. The white blocks are the plasma statistics. This is the process flow chart, which shows the origin of the waste, where the garbage trucks come in, or it could come in by rail. And you have temporary waste storage of a short duration. It's a 24/7 operation. This is the plasma plant itself. You can see, in this case, the torches are at the bottom where the slag is. The red shows you the high temperatures. And at the bottom of the chart is where your vitrified waste comes from the inorganics and also your metals for recovery by the metal reutilization industries. Then you have the heat exchanger on the right where the temperatures start to cool. This part shows the processing, the reduced temperatures into the steam generators which produce power, and also the segue at the bottom to go into the experimental process of producing fuel and gas. And the very bottom, the HCl and the sulfur, are products that are scrubbed and resold in the industry. And these particulates comprise about 1% of the waste. But they are important to know because they're toxic, and we reutilize them. Chlorine is produced, converted to HCl, and sulfur is converted for use in the industry, chemical industry. Here's the final part of it where you're converting to electricity with the steam turbine. You also have your water distillation plant on your far right. This is important, especially in areas where water is hard to come by, reutilized water. This is your distillation flow process, source water, and your condensing, cooling, and dilution for reutilization in the community. So, this is the chart that shows a complete recovery. Notice the 100%. No emissions, nothing lost. So, CO, carbon monoxide, and hydrogen are recovered for electricity. Your inorganics at the bottom of the tank are recovered into glass. Your metals are recovered for metal recycling. Your chlorine changes to HCl. Your sulfur becomes sodium bisulfite. And your nitrogen, your carbon, and your water are all recovered and used for agricultural purposes in attached greenhouses, and the water can be sold on the market as distilled water and reused to process the cooling in the plant. This is the picture of the entire organization. You can see very clearly it is a clean operation. no stacks, and you have a 24/7 process here run by computers. It's approximately 2 million man-hours to put this system together, and then you have literally hundreds of jobs created from this type of plant, because of course you have your transportation industry, your feed, and your operation per se. It's a very low maintenance environment because the tanks run basically on inertia. The only thing that you have to do is replace the torches, and the torches are on standby mode. So therefore, we've created a position of eliminating the landfills. We're converting all the waste into usable products. We've got, compliance with the standards, the EPA standards, and we don't have any processed water discharge at all. It's 100% recycled. Therefore, the only question that you might have outstanding is, does the odor penetrate into the communities? As I mentioned before, the building operates under negative air pressure. The compressor is pulling the air through the building. We recycle the waste regularly so that there's nothing sitting in storage for any length of time. The storage is indoors.
So Dr. Carol Singh is going to present evidence to show you that you have a case that is in court, and certain situations on that is going to reveal information that you believe is unjust.
Correct.
Okay, let's go, Dr. Carol.
All right. In 2005, I started receiving letters from the IRS. They were kind of routine letters, but they were inquiries. I answered them. That issue was settled. Then there was a search warrant conducted on May 3rd, 2007. This is a paper that was given to me. As you can see, it is unsigned. It's required by the Fourth Amendment and Supreme Court law that a search and seizure be signed by a judge. Then this case number here is invalid based on the court's information. This is an invalid case number. So it was never filed in Nevada. Along with the raid, you're supposed to get a statement of probable cause, which gives you a right to a probable cause hearing. This is what I got. It was sealed up until the time of indictment. I never saw what I was being accused of from 2007 to 2013. I never knew.
Dr. Carol, when you talk about being an advocate, I mean, we know that as lay people that there's some information that we may not know of because we're not attorneys. So just to be clear, Malcolm and myself, we're not attorneys, but we're here as advocates as well to share information with you so that Dr. Carol can create a platform of support. So going forward, Dr. Carol, what else would you like to present to our viewers?
On January 24th, 2007, there was a sting operation. You can see this is a camera, and it's filming me. I was invited to Oregon to speak about corporations in Nevada and Corporation Soul in Nevada. Corporation Soul is a charity. It's a nonprofit. This is a picture of the IRS agents and myself in Oregon. This is another picture of us in Oregon. So therefore, I was set up, so to speak, and this preceded the raid. So I'm just showing you what happened as a result of this sting. A sting operation is not supposed to bring on any kind of a court case. You're supposed to build the case on the facts surrounding what you allegedly do naturally. Okay, then we proceeded to what's called a grand jury, okay, after the raid. The grand jury started approximately 2008 in Oregon. It failed because of proven collusion between the state attorney general and the IRS agent involved in the case manager. That occurred and failed. Mm-hmm. The attorney was fired and the IRS person moved to Utah. In Utah, they did not try to do a seated grand jury. They did what's known as a special grand jury. This went on from about 2008 to 2013. And I will read you the definition of a special grand jury. A special grand jury provisions in Chapter 216, paragraphs 3331 to 3334 of Title 18 is a misapplication of law as a special grand jury investigation authority extends only to criminal activities involving governmental personnel. I'm a private industry person. The special grand jury does not have indictment authority. Guess what? I was indicted in 2013. You can see here, unsigned indictment. Now I know it has an S. You cannot do an S. You have to put testimony under penalty of perjury. So we never knew who the jurors were, even if there were any jurors. On this side, you will see the person that handled this case from 2010 up until January of 2015 by the name of Michael Romano. He signed for both spaces. All right, then after the indictment, you're supposed to receive summons, service. You're supposed to sign for the service. I will read this to you. The court recognizes, and I'll show this to you, the summons was returned unexecuted. Bench warrants were issued as to both defendants. Right here. Court admits service was not completed, but warrants for arrest were issued anyway. Following that, I had conditions of release. If I violated these conditions of release, I could be arrested. And this is in small print, but to keep it correct and factual, I will read it to you. That she be restricted from creating new corporations sole. That she be restricted from assisting others with the creations of corporations sole. That she be restricted from advising clients about corporations sole. That she be restricted from referring clients to others who could provide assistance with corporations sole. Then I was asked to remove my website. And this is the most important one, I was to cease acting as a registered agent for anyone for corporations sole. What is a registered agent? It's a person that files papers in Nevada to verify that that entity is legally registered. We're also providing service, which means if a client receives a summons or any kind of a court document, we receive it initially and then forward it on to them. That's our duties. And the last thing is that I may not give a tax advice to anyone. So you see First Amendment violations and you see the right to work violations. This is a document. In June of 2014, after a discourse between my public defender and myself, I was asking to hire a private attorney because we had a disagreement over not objecting to certain things in court that needed to be carried forward to appeal. And I intended to appeal if the verdict came out guilty. What happened was I hired an attorney for $15,000, came to the court, and was told I needed to pay $175,000 before I